Hurricane season 2020 has arrived. Good evening, I'm Mike Naso with the tropical update for this evening of June 1st. We have a brand new tropical depression to kick off hurricane season, and if you look at the name list, we've already exhausted Arthur and Bertha. We are waiting on our third named storm, and today is the official start of the Atlantic hurricane season. Of course, that would be Cristobal, and this is the latest on our new tropical depression as of 4 p.m. Central, 5 p.m. Eastern. From the National Hurricane Center, it was at 19.6 north, 91.2 west, winds of about 30 miles an hour, and it's moving west-northwest at only 6 or 7, and that increases the rainfall risk, 1,007 millibars. You can see the Hurricane Center is forecasting this system to move to the west a little bit, maybe stall and loop around for the next couple of days, and then eventually take a move out over the Gulf of Mexico and strengthen. And this is forecast to become Tropical Storm Cristobal either later tonight or tomorrow. Nevertheless, it could be anywhere within this cone. It could end up making landfall in Mexico or back in the Yucatan or further out into the Gulf. We just don't know at this point. However, a tropical storm warning is in effect for Campeche to Puerto de Veracruz on the southern Bay of Campeche here of Mexico. Again, the heaviest threat right now isn't so much the wind as it is the rainfall, which could be prolific. This is part of what was Tropical Storm Amanda in the Pacific. That's why it had a different name. And it moved over El Salvador and just horrific flooding if you saw some of the video. What's left of Amanda dissipated, but the overall gyre over areas of Central America has spit out a new circulation into the Bay of Campeche, and that is our tropical depression. Here's the visible satellite as the sun starts to go down. You can see right in here, see that spinning? That is where the center of our depression is. It is now over water. Still some wind shear affecting the western side here. However, conditions are generally favorable for development. Again, we don't get many storms in June, but right now with the upper level winds, the moist environment, the warm waters, it does appear that this will strengthen. However, there are three scenarios that I'll lay out in a minute for where this system could go. The computer models are generally milling this around and then kind of pulling it back out into the Gulf of Mexico towards the Gulf Coast of the United States. Now, it's all part of this gyre spinning here. You had Amanda go in. Now this system popped out. Some models even show a new storm developing. And so the situation is very, very fluid, and there are several variables, and it's very, very early. So we don't want to say for sure how strong this will get or where it could go. But anybody from the Bay of Campeche and the Yucatan all the way over to the Florida Panhandle needs to watch this system very closely in the coming days. You can see we have computer models, the European ensembles. A lot of them keep it around there. Look at this for several days, but then eventually spit it back out, and you can see they get stronger. The orange lines are getting more hurricane intensity. So there is the possibility that this could be a hurricane in the long run. That is a possibility we have to talk about. Here's the close-up of those European models. Again, a lot of heavy rain. If this thing mills around down here, that's just going to cause more and more flooding over Mexico and Central America, and they don't need it if you saw the video of what Amanda did the other day in El Salvador. Water temperatures, plenty warm. Don't be fooled. As a matter of fact, if I look at some of these observations, this is a buoy here off the coast of Texas and the western Gulf. Look at water temperature, 83 degrees. That's more than enough. 80 degrees is usually the standard. 83.3, more than hot enough to support hurricane strength. And obviously, we're going to watch this very carefully. You can see we do have some more observations near our system. Look at gusty winds, 21 knots, rough seas. Look at the water temperature, 82 degrees. So waters are warm, and as long as the upper level conditions are favorable, this system will intensify. So here's the situation. You can see the center of our depression is right where I put that red dot. You can see the environment around it. Very, very good outflow on the northern side, but that's kind of flattening the western edge. Overall, this system is expected to come out. Now, there are three scenarios. The first scenario is that this system remains weak. Maybe it gets a name, Cristobal, and then just kind of buries itself into Mexico. That is scenario number one, okay? Scenario number two is that this system mills around over land and eventually dissipates, and a new storm comes out of it, maybe even a new name, which would be Dolly. Okay? And it heads towards the Gulf Coast as a tropical storm or a hurricane. The third scenario, which is what is forecast right now, is that this system remains weak and mills around, and then eventually starts to come towards the Gulf Coast and strengthens. That's what they're thinking right now. But again, there are so many possibilities. There's a chance this thing never becomes a tropical storm tonight or tomorrow and dissipates into Mexico. There is a chance that it becomes a storm or a hurricane and takes aim at the Gulf Coast later this week. With those scenarios, that means you need to be on alert. If you live in Brownsville, Corpus, Galveston, New Orleans, Apalachicola, you guys start to overlook your hurricane plans just in case what could become Cristobal ends up taking aim at you. And of course, we'll be able to zero in on it as time goes by. Stay tuned for more updates. Again, the IPR page here on YouTube. Like, subscribe, and you guys can look at all the latest updates that'll be posted on there, as well as Facebook and Twitter, and old updates going all the way back to the days of 2005 with Katrina. And again, we'll keep an eye on the tropics as situations warrant. So I'm Mike Naso with the first update officially of the hurricane season, June 1st, and we'll continue to keep an eye on our system in the Gulf of Mexico. Stay tuned.